Good evening, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. Officials identify man shot, killed outside Dover restaurant. Authorities have identified the man who died Tuesday night outside a Dover restaurant. Police said Raymond Elridge, 34, of Dover, was shot sometime around 10 p.m. Tuesday outside Castaway's Restaurant and Lounge at 31 Chico Street. He died of his injuries sometime after police responded. An autopsy showed Elridge died of a gunshot wound to the chest. His death was ruled a homicide. The investigation is ongoing. Anyone with additional information is asked to call Dover Police Sergeant Mark at 603-742-4646. Hinsdale man killed in two-vehicle crash in New York. A 76-year-old New Hampshire man has died after a two-vehicle crash in New York. New York State Police said Michael Sanford of Hinsdale, New Hampshire, was traveling west on State Route 11 around 2 p.m. Wednesday when he attempted to make a left-hand turn. Troopers said Stanford turned in front of a pickup truck towing a trailer being driven by an 81-year-old man from Jay, New York. The vehicles collided and the pickup truck and trailer overturned. Sanford was pronounced dead at the scene. An autopsy will be performed to determine his cause of death. The pickup driver was taken to UVM Health Network Alice Hyde in Marlone to be treated for non-life-threatening injuries. A woman riding with him wasn't injured. The crash remains under investigation. Nearly 50,000 people registered to vote in New Hampshire on Election Day. Nearly 50,000 people registered to vote in New Hampshire on Election Day, November 6th, more than the number of same-day registrants in previous midterm elections. The latest registration numbers released by the Secretary of State's office on Wednesday, first reported by New Hampshire primary source on Twitter, also showed that despite big Democratic victories in congressional and state legislative and executive council races, the growth in Democrat registrants between the September primary election and the general election was smaller than the number of undeclared and Republican registrants. A total of 48,231 people registered to vote on November 6th, about 15,000 more than the 33,479 people who were same-day registrants on Election Day in 2014. Turnouts during presidential year are higher than during midterm elections, but just for perspective, there were 83,142 registrants on Election Day 2016. In 2018, the number of undeclared registrants increased from 386,390 people after the September 11 primary to 4 14,798 after the general election. Republican registrants increased from 296,553 on September 11 to 306,600 on November 6, and Democrat registrants increased from 278,764 on September 11 to 283,729 on November 6. As a result, there are now 1,006,675 registered voters in the state as compared to 896,829 registered voters after the 2014 midterm elections. Undeclared or independent voters make up 41.2% of the state's electoral, while Republicans make up 30.4% and Democrats make up 28.2%. AAA expects 4.7 million people in New England to travel for holiday. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Kristen Carosa.
It's been a busy day at the Hooksett Welcome Center as travelers begin to hit the road.
Now, I've heard the traffic is supposed to be insane this holiday season.
And she's right. AAA expects 4.7 million people will travel in New England alone. Today, likely the busiest travel day of the season.
Where Christmas falls on a Tuesday, a lot of people took Thursday, Friday off, and then Monday, of course, being Christmas Eve. So they're giving themselves that 5-6 day weekend just to have plenty of time to spend with family.
AAA also predicts about 6.7 million people will fly to see their families and friends, like this mom from Ohio who's visiting her family in Merrimack.
It was already hectic. I was walking into the airport like, it's Christmas!
Sarah Duerin says the travel was well worth it. She's just arrived home from Army training in Virginia.
I'm very excited to be home with my family. It is something that everybody there looks forward to, and seeing everybody just that excited about this one thing, it just, I don't know, it makes the holidays even better.
AAA is warning those who are taking to the roads to do so early and carefully to ensure they make it safely to their destinations. Several inches of rain is on the way over the next 2 days.
Don't tailgate, don't do anything that's unsafe on the road. Just do what you would normally do. Remember everything you learned in driver's ed. Just keep it safe and just get where you're going so your family can see you.
So again, travel is moving very smoothly at this hour. Conditions are very dry, which is great, but that's all about to change. The rain does move in later on tonight. We're live along 93 North this noon. Kristen Carosa, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And now let's take a look at your U.S. stock market and see how your U.S. stock market closed for this Thursday evening. And here's a look at your U.S. stock market for this Thursday evening. Your Dow Jones Industrial Average closed in the red and went down. Your Nasdaq closed in the red and went down. S&P 500 closed in the red and went down. Gold closed in the red and went down. Oil closed in the green and went up. US 10-year closed flat. Euro/USD closed in the green and went up. And VX closed in the green and went up. Dow drops 470 points to 14-month low and second day of big losses following Fed rate hikes. U.S. stocks swooned for a second day Thursday after the Federal Reserve raised benchmark interest rates and said that it would continue to let its massive balance sheet shrink at the current pace. Fears of a government shutdown also sent stocks tumbling to a new low Thursday afternoon. Trump announces Secretary of Defense James Mattis will retire at the end of February. President Donald Trump announced via Twitter Thursday that Defense Secretary James Mattis will retire at the end of February. In his resignation letter, Mattis said he was leaving his post so the president could have a defense secretary whose views were better aligned with his own. And that does it for the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your Thursday night, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Good night, everyone. Bye.